In 2018, a teenage girl named Lucy Thomas captivated the world with her voice on The Voice Kids UK. At just 13 years old, she stepped onto one of the biggest stages in the UK and sang Moon River, an iconic song that showcased not just her vocal skill, but also the emotional depth she could bring to the stage. When she hit that first note, the world was stunned. Judges Pixie Lott and Danny Jones spun their chairs almost immediately, unable to hide their awe. Her performance, while technically flawless, was distinguished by its emotional resonance, a young girl singing as if she'd lived a lifetime of experience. The power of her voice, raw and unforced, brought a rare and immediate sense of connection. The performance left the audience and judges in awe, and before long, clips of her audition were all over social media. A star on the rise. After her jaw-dropping audition, Lucy's journey on The Voice Kids UK quickly became a story of public admiration. She advanced through the competition with ease, performing with an emotional precision that was more mature than anyone could have expected from a 13-year-old. Her voice never relied on volume or showmanship. Instead, she captured the hearts of viewers by choosing to sing with restraint and grace. Her maturity was evident not just on stage, but in her interactions with the crew and other contestants. She was praised for her discipline, taking careful notes during rehearsals, showing up early, and treating the whole process with a seriousness beyond her years. Despite her youth, Lucy's professionalism in the show's environment was something rare and special, and it wasn't lost on the audience. The weight of fame. But with success came challenges. As Lucy progressed in the competition, the pressure began to build. By the time she made it to the semifinals, Lucy had become one of the most talked about contestants. Yet, when she didn't make it to the final, it wasn't anger or disappointment that was felt. It was sympathy. The public had come to admire her not just for her talent, but for the vulnerability that she brought to her performances. Lucy had bared her soul on national television, and when she didn't win, it seemed like the world collectively felt the sting of her loss. After the show, however, the attention she had gained became difficult to manage. Despite the outpouring of support, Lucy struggled with the expectations placed upon her, both by her fans and herself. The fame that came after the show was more overwhelming than the performance itself. A life transformed by fame. Lucy's life, once simple and grounded in her hometown of Wigan, was now complicated by the sudden surge of fame. The constant media attention, the pressure to always be on, and the public's relentless expectations took a toll on the young singer. Her social media was filled with both praise and criticism, which began to weigh on her. Lucy had not been prepared for the emotional burden of celebrity, and soon she found herself retreating from the spotlight, trying to protect her mental health. She admitted later that what she found hardest wasn't the performing, but living up to the image that had been built around her. She hadn't asked for fame, and she wasn't sure she wanted it. The constant pressure made it difficult for her to connect with herself, let alone her audience. The quiet withdrawal. As the world continued to call for more of her, Lucy chose to step back and find balance. She didn't disappear entirely, but she opted for silence. She avoided making appearances and focused instead on honing her skills. While others from the show rushed to take advantage of their newfound fame, Lucy stayed home, away from the cameras and the flashing lights. It wasn't that she had lost her passion for music, but rather that she had to figure out who she was as an artist, independent of the spotlight. Behind closed doors, she spent hours writing music, studying vocal techniques, and learning how to protect her voice. This quiet period allowed her to grow, both as a musician and as a person. What seemed like a disappearance was, in fact, a time of reflection and growth. Overcoming perfectionism. Lucy's next steps were fueled by a deep desire to understand the music industry and perfect her craft. She spent countless hours experimenting with her voice, learning new techniques, and absorbing everything she could about the art of music production. Her second album, Encore, released in 2020, came at a time when much of the world was forced into isolation due to the pandemic. But for Lucy, this period allowed her to focus on her music. She recorded much of the album at home, experimenting with different sounds and approaches to her art. One of the standout tracks, her rendition of Hallelujah, became an internet sensation, with millions of views and comments praising her emotional depth. But despite the success, she was still pushing herself to the limit, often staying up late trying to perfect every note. The strain of perfection. Lucy's relentless pursuit of perfection began to take its toll. As she worked on her third album, Timeless, she found herself experiencing vocal strain. What had once come naturally to her now required more effort, and she began to feel the weight of her own expectations. The drive to prove herself, to show that her success wasn't a fluke, pushed her to work harder, but it also began to take a physical toll. Lucy didn't complain, though. She continued to push herself, unwilling to let the pressure stop her from achieving what she felt was her true calling. The success of Timeless masked the physical challenges she was facing, and her fans admired the album's depth and maturity. But behind the scenes, Lucy was struggling with the reality of her own limitations. The breakthrough moment. In 2022, Lucy found her voice again in a way that was even more meaningful than before. With the release of Destiny, her fourth album, she fully embraced her evolution as an artist and a person. The album marked a turning point in Lucy's career, reflecting both her personal growth and her ability to manage her vocal health. It was a breakthrough moment for her, as she found a balance between pursuing her art and taking care of her well-being. The album's success, which reached #1 on the UK classical charts, was a testament to her resilience and her dedication to creating music that spoke to the heart. This was no longer the fragile teenager from The Voice Kids. This was a fully realized artist. A new chapter, the West End debut. By 2024, Lucy was ready for her next challenge, musical theater. In October 2024, she made her West End debut in Rosie, a musical that showcased her vocal ability and emotional range. Performing live on one of London's most prestigious stages was a far cry from the small screen of The Voice Kids, and the pressure of being in front of thousands of theatergoers was daunting. But Lucy faced the challenge head-on, determined to prove that she was more than just a viral sensation. Her performance received rave reviews, with critics praising her controlled yet powerful voice. For Lucy, this was not just a career milestone. It was a moment of redemption, a validation of her journey from nervous teenager to seasoned performer, finding peace through music. Today, Lucy Thomas stands as a symbol of resilience and authenticity. She's become a role model for young people, especially those dealing with bullying or mental health struggles. Her involvement with Project Rocket, an initiative that supports teenagers facing these challenges, has further solidified her place as a figure of strength. Lucy doesn't chase fame or seek approval. Instead, she uses her platform to connect with her fans on a deeper level. Whether through her music, her social media, or her advocacy work, Lucy remains grounded in her love for music and her desire to help others. Despite her success, she has remained humble, focused not on the number of records sold or the size of her fan base, but on the emotional impact of her work. Lucy Thomas's journey is a testament to the power of quiet strength and the healing potential of music.